outside corner. And McIntosh already an eventful day. We saw him come up at the plate. And although he struck out as the ball got by the catcher, that'll allow Kraus to move to third, who was later driven in just one pitch later. The count 1-2 to Creed Davis, the leadoff man for Seams here. And this one dances outside. There's the count, 2-2 strikes. So McIntosh has already been a big part of the proceedings as Davis crowds the inside portion of the batter's box and excuses it foul. And what has been a high-powered offense all week for Seams. They have made a habit of scoring runs, and a bunch of them. 12 of them came Friday. Before their first loss, they lost to East Cobb Astros. That'll be awaiting the winner of this one, as this one's fouled right over top of the dugout. A lengthy opening at bat from Creed Davis, trying to set the table for Seams. As this one's high and away. So Davis has now worked the count full after falling behind quickly. The count has now worked itself full. McIntosh set to deal. Payoff pitch is high for ball 4. And so Davis will trot on down to first. Introduce you to the rest of the Rocky infield. Combs, Klaus, Lockhart. So Rockies, who were able to tally one in the first, trying to hang on to that lead as McIntosh paints the outside corner. Again, target set there and cut through by Owens. Nice job by Alexander behind the plate, keeps it in front, and now the count quickly 1-2. See if they go outside again. They do set there, too far outside, gets all the way to the backstop. That'll allow Davis to advance to third. So he advances to third on a wild pitch, and now Alexander going to have a brief chat with McIntosh on the bump. And hey, when we've hit that spot, we've had a lot of success so far. See what comes here. 2-2. Tries to poke it the other way, and it's foul. Owens quickly back in left side, and another payoff. This one hit hard. That's through the left side. It'll drive in the run. We're tied at 1 as Jackson Owens delivers an RBI knock, and there's still just one away. He got it right by Klaus, who scored the run for the Rockies in the top half. And now Witten Slayton, who's behind the plate defensively for Seams, now with a runner on and just one away, a chance to grab a bat and make an impact. And says, you know, these shoelaces are a little harder to tie with these batting gloves, and coach comes to help him out. Said, all right, you tie the cleats, I'll hit. As he stands in, a right-hander against McIntosh, something McIntosh hadn't seen a lot of, his 3 straight lefties out of the gate. And this one's down and away, and that will allow Owens to move up. So the second wild pitch of the inning that allows advancement of a base runner. So now Owens in at second Alexander does a nice job to keep this one in front, but the pitch is outside. 2 balls and a strike to Slayton. Outside corner, a miss there. And a little frustration from McIntosh there as he toes the rubber for a 3-1. Kick steals that one right on the money. And now the count works itself full. 3-2 coming from McIntosh. This one hit in the air out towards center field. Ranging over, making the catch is Scruggs. And there's 2 away. Nicely done by Scruggs, who measured it up nicely. And 2 away in the Seams first inning. And Zarin Battles now get his opportunity. Runner in scoring position, trying to give Seams a lead here in the first with Jackson Owens at second in scoring position. Chased one up the ladder, and it's 0-1. That one just off the outside corner. McIntosh couldn't quite get Battles to chase there. 1-1, that one he does. Nice one that just disappeared down in the dirt once it got into the hitting area, the strike zone. A lot of movement. Bottom fell out of it, and all of a sudden, it's a 1-2 count for McIntosh, trying to keep it a tie game. He does just that. He strikes out Battles, and we'll go to the second. Level at 1 here in Myrtle Beach, the TBS National Championships. Ahead run in scoring position in the first. The first left-hander in the order for the Carolina Rockies, Whit Lockhart against Maddox Reynolds. Both teams with a run in the first inning. As this one catches the zone. And it levels at a ball and a strike. Action has come fast and furious. It was 7-1 last time these teams met. This is a line drive shot, but Owens is there to snare it. Back is Black. He makes the catch. So Alexander retired. And now 2 away. This one down in the dirt. As Scruggs will stand in. Levi Scruggs trying to give the Rockies a base runner here in the second. Maddox Reynolds going to cruise along on the bump. Gets a little flare here. That no problem for Davis. In order go the Rockies in inning number 2. We remain tied at 1. Rockies try to answer defensively when you come back. TBS will be assembling and taking 5 teams to Mesa, Arizona, December 27th through January 1st to participate in New Year's Baseball Fest. Mesa has 8 all-synthetic fields, and it's a great opportunity for kids aged 10 to 14 to play with other kids from all over the country. Each team will be made up of 12 players, and you must play at your 20-25 age group for this event. We'll provide jerseys, hats, coaches for the teams. Nothing quite like it anywhere, and no better way to ring in the new year than in style with TBS and New Year's Baseball Fest. For more details, visit tbsnationals.com, and don't delay, as these 12 spots will go fast. Joined by Tournament Director Rick Goff. And Rick, certainly fun to see the youngsters out there, the 8-year-olds, all sorts of fun, and just sort of bring you back to the roots of the game a little bit with the youngsters, but some different rules for them as well.
Yeah, this is where it all starts at the 8-year-old level. They all want to play big boy. They all want to play big boy baseball, and this is their first opportunity and experience in order to do that. But there are some different rules that we do have for 8-year-olds. Keep in mind that they are 8. You know, such as there's no drop third strike in an 8-year-old kid plays baseball. We're still trying to teach them the fundamentals, trying to get them to understand the game and how things operate. Another thing that they do at 8-year-old baseball is you can't steal until the ball crosses the plate. That's another rule that we have. And also the runner at third, he can't score on a pass ball. He's got to be hit in or he's got to be forced in.
Right.
So it just kind of keeps the game simple for these kids as they keep learning year after year. And but this is their first experience of a kid getting on the mound and pitching. So there's a few rules that we have different.
Well, and we've certainly already seen some exciting play already, as we've seen both teams cash in an early run as this one's popped up and tracked down. And they make it look easy for 8 years old.
Well, I tell you what, I've watched these teams all week down here in Myrtle Beach. And these two and the team that's in the finals, East Cobb Astros, have kind of set themselves apart of everybody. And, you know, the ironic, I think it's the Rockies team actually turned a 6-4 3-double play in pool play earlier this week. So, you know, they do things right. These coaches get out there and teach them the fundamentals. And people say, oh, they're too young, they're too young. Well, I disagree. If they're able to absorb that information and take it with them to the next level, why not teach them at 8? Why not teach them at 7? Whenever they want to. But, you know, I watched them turn a 6-4-3 routine double play that I've seen high schools have trouble.
Right. As Dalton Black stands in trying to provide a base runner. And new experience, too, for these pitchers, too. Something they haven't done before, maybe in the backyard with Dad, but now all of a sudden someone's in the box trying to hit it, and it has a whole nother feel to it.
It does, and that kind of brings me to another rule that we do for the 8-year-olds is the home run from the gentleman from the Rockies, the 31. That was just such a wonderful sight to see.
This one hit hard, and the Rockies will get another base hit as Lucas Hall finds his way aboard.
And the Rockies actually handed the East Cobb Astros their first loss of the entire season. They were 40-0 going into that game when the Rockies beat them earlier this week.
And it speaks to, and it's these events so cool. You see kids from all different parts of the country, and baseball's the thing that brings them all together, and it brings them to the beach, and they get to interact with each other a little bit, and has to be rewarding for you as a tournament director to see that aspect as well.
It is, and, you know, with the way social media is today, you know, 20 years, my son is 30 now, and he did all this travel stuff when he was 8, 9 years old, and he made friends of a lifetime doing that. Look at that play. What a play.
That's pretty good. They got the lead runner on the bunt, and just in time, and seen Reynolds showcase his arm on the mound. That time he shows it off defensively to get the lead runner.
Now, as these guys get older, they'll realize they need to turn glove side to make that play easier. He made an easier play a little bit harder, but he still made the play. Still the mindset of going to second base to get that lead runner at 8. I mean, the skills these guys show is incredible.
Well, it just goes to show you that sometimes it's easy for – us adults to say, well, maybe they're too young to absorb all this. And then one thing I've always heard is that don't be afraid to let kids surprise you a little bit. And so often they do, and this is a good example of it, is Pass ball will allow the runner up to second.
But we talked about the social media aspect of it now. You know, these kids, I would be surprised if kids from Seams, who were from Tennessee,
Right.
and the kids from the Rockies who were from North Carolina, that they don't get together, they exchange Instagram information, and they picked it up and tried to throw it back in and slipped out of his hand, and it allowed the runner to go to third. And you know, that's 8-year-old baseball in a nutshell right there.
Well, and you look at it, you talk about the relationships that are even built at this level, and it's something that you go back. You know, obviously a lot of attention this week, College World Series, and it goes all the way to that level where you see it in the college ranks, and they say, hey, we played together in travel ball back when we were 8, 9, 10 years old as this one's fouled away.
Yeah, since we've been running this tournament for 12 years now, there's been a lot of kids that have come through here and had great success at the major league level. They've had great success at the NFL level.
Yeah.
You know, it's not limited to just that. So that cycle's now starting to come through. Because you figure 12 years ago, these 8-year-old kids, they were 20, you know, they're 20 now.
Right.
And they're starting to make their mark in college and so forth and so on. So that's exciting for me to see as a director when I see those kids or recognize those kids that have went on to the next level. And, you know, it's you look at them at their 8, and I tell moms and dads all the time, there's a kid that played for me years ago. He's now in the minor league system for the Seattle Mariners. And there's talk about him getting called up here in the next couple of weeks to the big club. And I had a conversation with his dad, and I'm like, you know, you look back at the pictures when he was 8, 9, or 10. Did you ever envision that?
Right.
You know, now he's going to step on the field for the Seattle Mariners when he's 21 years old. And he's like, no, you never. You hope, but you never realistic. Because what do they say? 1% of 1% actually go on and play in the big league. So, you know, that's a whole different type of thing there. So. But it's fun and exciting, and some of these kids, you know, they'll grow up and be doctors and lawyers, and that's great too.
Yeah.
You know, that's great too. But enjoy the game while you can.
Right.
Because it was from a movie, I can't remember. Someday the game will tell you that you need to stop.
Yeah.
So play as long as you can.
It told me younger than most.
Same with me. It told me younger than most.
This was fouled away, and back at Nichols now with a chance to drive in yet another run, just one away. And we've already seen several instances of the baseball IQ sky high as Nichols goes down for out number 2. And now Dylan Anderson with a chance. But, you know, it's such, in youth sports in general, you see the coaches have sort of a magic act to play between, hey, keep it fun. They are 8-year-old kids. And getting them better, and these coaches do such a good job. And you know, you see a lot of the kids saying, "Wait, no, how do I get better?" And they want to get better and learn.
Well, and that's the thing, is that fine line, right?
Yeah.
If you can find the coach that can make it fun for the 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and even the 10-year-olds, you know, and still teach them the game, man, you've got a unicorn, right? That's what they call it. You've got a unicorn and a coach. And the skill level, especially these pitchers throw, I mean, they're throwing strikes at 8 years old.
And a diving play made it short to end the inning. That saves a run. And we mentioned the defense is pretty good, too.
It just never amazes me to watch the defense. This is why I enjoy the 8-year-olds, because they make those plays at 8, and you're sitting there and you tell yourself, you're like, wait a minute, that was just an 8-year-old.
Right.
You know, and like I said earlier in the broadcast, I've seen high school kids have trouble with that, those types of plays. So, yeah, it's if you can find that unicorn that can do both, and the kids listen up to you. And here's another thing. I've coached for a long time, and when I coached, my favorite things to coach was up till about 13. Because I found at 14, miraculously, somehow, kids know everything at 14. It was crazy. It just happened overnight. At 14, now they know.
Right.
So at 8 years old, I watch these kids. If you watch them when they come off and watch them to coach, their eyes are on that coach.
Yeah.
They are listening to every word he says. Nobody's rolling their eyes. Nobody's looking away like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. At 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, they're still sponges, and they want to listen, and they want to learn. And so for me, that's when I knew I had to get out of the game as being a youth coach, or I could still coach at probably 13 and under, but at 14, they know everything, the parents know everything, and I can't do it anymore. Right? I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I have lots of friends who are teachers. They say, yeah, elementary's fun because you know it all. He said, you get to middle school, now all of a sudden they know it all.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got some family members who are teachers, and they say the same thing. They're willing to learn. They'll listen. You tell them, to do something at 8, 9, they'll do it. They get 13, 14. It's why?
Right.
Why? Why? Because I asked you to. That's why.
J.J. Workman will lead it off here in the third for Seams. They trail 2-1. It did not take them long to erase the deficit back in the first inning. As he chases off the outside corner, McIntosh delivery there. That's something, too, that you talk about, especially with youth baseball. We've seen it, enforced all week as McIntosh misses outside there. But pitch count, a big part of this age group, too, and not wanting to overtax arms, especially at this young age.
Yeah, so we have rules in place that puts a limit on what they can do during the week, what they can do during the day. And, surprisingly enough, at this style of tournament with these high-level teams, it's never really a factor.
Right.
These coaches all know they don't put a victory or a win over the kid's health. So, when I tell them what the pitching restrictions are here, every coach looks at me and says, we won't even get close to that.
Right.
And that makes me feel good. That makes me feel that these guys are in good hands and moving forward and doing stuff that they need to be doing the right way, and the parents should feel that way as well.
Yeah.
Their recognition of the strike zone is not as advanced, but it'll get better as they get older. But, right now, that pitch, it comes up to an 8-year-old eyes. He wants to swing at it. Why? Because he can see it. The pitch low,
right.
You probably will let that go because he can't see it. But an 8-year-old's not trained enough. If he gets at about eye level, he's probably going to be swinging because he can see it and he thinks he can get to it.
2-1 pitch here. That one on the inside corner finds the mark, and now it's 2-2 as McIntosh continues to deal here. He's been steady through the early going. Kicks, fires, and almost seems to be getting better as the day goes on. Another strikeout. It's back-to-back here in the third.
Yeah, the young man's got great form, great technique, great poise on the mound. You can just look at him out there. He's confident. He's ready to go, and he's pounding the zone. And these Seams guys need to make an adjustment here.
It's Creed Davis back to the top of the order. He walked and came around to score his first time through. And you mentioned the plate discipline and how a lot of times at age 8 as this one came in and got Davis, so he'll be aboard for the second time today. But it goes back to being 8 years old too. They don't want to walk; they want to hit.
They want to hit. They want to hit. And I can tell you, out of all the age groups that we run and we do here, the team that is ready to come up and swing the bat is the team that's going to be successful.
Right.
I mean, if they're looking to take, walks or looking to do something like that, they're probably not going to have much success. You're going to find throughout the course of the tournament at 8U, kids swinging a lot of first pitches.
Yep. Well, we've already seen that here today in some impactful swings on the first pitch. And I remember a youth baseball coach told me years ago, he said that kid's going to remember swinging and getting a double much more than he's going to remember walking to first base.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt. No doubt that's what they're going to do. The Seams batters seem to be crowding the plate here a little bit. They're trying to get him off of that inside corner.
Runner goes. Jacob Workman, the new pitcher for Seams. After Maddox Reynolds carried him through the first 3 innings, gave up a pair of runs. It's the top of the order that Workman will contend with. And Corbin Klaus, who only took 1 pitch to hit a double his first time up and cuts through the first offering here. And Rick, more to what you were talking about, first pitch, they're having a big cut.
Right there was a case in point. I mean, they're not messing around. They're not working the count. They're not looking to do anything like that. First good one they see, they're going to go. And, these coaches, if you're coaching at 8-year-olds level, you got to have the patience of Job. I mean, because these kids will do things that you don't expect.
Right.
By the time they get 11, 12 years old, they know how to handle routine stuff. It almost becomes robotic.
It's more predictable.
More predictable. Yeah. But at 8 years old, it's unpredictable with a capital U.
It's almost like a youth baseball coach told me. The 3-1 comes from Workman here. And cut on, makes it 3-2, he said. But sometimes, even for the coaches, that's part of the rewarding part of it, is not necessarily knowing what's coming, grounding their roots in how they began in this game as well. As payoff pitch, he comes back to strike him out. Back-to-back beauties from Workman to get the first out here in the 4th.
You talk about the roots, and it brings up a point. I talked to a lot of these coaches all week, and especially the 8 and 9-year-olds, right? And I asked the guys, I asked Ricky Luttrell over there and the guy from North Carolina, I said, when you guys were 8 years old, were you playing games on turf? And they just kind of drop their head and shake, and they're like, no, not even close. Oh, yeah, it's a whole new world here.
Well, certainly, and some of the coaches here, not many of the big leaguers had turf to play on either.
No.
Back in that time.
No, they didn't. They were just happy to play in a field that had bases, and maybe somebody put a chalk line down there back then. That was big time.
I remember I played the entire dirt infields and bases. The chalk line might have been straight.
Might, depending on what the guy did the night before, right? If he came down a little too late. Because, a lot of those back then were college kids, right? That's what they come in to make a little extra money. And, they might have been out and had a few too many Pepsis the night before, and they're like, I'll walk a straight line right here and see what happens. But you know what the beauty of it was? Nobody complained.
No. It was baseball. And I often tell people all the time, you'll see baseball in its purest form. Go watch a bunch of kids play. As this one's down and away. And here's Aaron Forrest, who you mentioned earlier, had that monster home run earlier this week. You've already seen from a couple of the cuts he's had today. He will not be cheated on many swings.
No. The old saying is when you get 2 strikes, you got to cut down your swing and just try to make contact. For him, that's out the window. I am hiking up my skirt, and I'm trying to hit it as hard as I can every time. But you talk about the game and the purity. I got a quick story to tell you. 3 years ago, I was coming home from this event. And got off the plane. I'm driving home, and I'm going through my neighborhood.
Right.
And there was an old ball field, an old school baseball field. And they were out there playing. And the coaches, I knew who the coaches were because they all had coach written on the back of their shirt, right? So we know who they are.
Right.
And I was watching the game, and there was no umpire. There was just a coach or a dad or somebody standing behind the pitcher calling balls and strikes. And this was a legit recreation baseball game. The grass had never been cut in the outfield, and the infield looked like it hadn't been raked in a month, right? And I stopped, pulled over my car. I went and watched 2 innings of that game, and nobody complained about the field not being raked. Nobody complained about the grass not being cut. Nobody complained when a ball was hit down the line and it was foul and he actually called it fair. They just played the game. And when it was over, I walked up to him and I said, hey, how come you guys don't have an umpire? And they said, well, our league can't afford one. And I said, I tell you what, here's my card. I gave him my card. I said, if you guys want to play again with an umpire, I've been umpiring for 30 years, I'll come out and umpire your game for you.
Yeah.
And, I never heard from them. They never called. But that was the game in its purest form at
Right.
that particular time. They didn't care. They were just playing the game. And when a kid got hit, everybody cheered. Even the other team cheered. So, yeah, it was enlightening after coming from seeing this and the intensity level that this is. And there is a difference. Look, there's baseball for everyone. I'm just happy that everybody plays the game of baseball.
Absolutely.
It's a great game. But there is also different levels of it. There's recreation ball, and there's also these kids that want to take it a little more serious.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids that were in my neighborhood, they probably lived in the neighborhood. They went home, got ice cream after the game,
Yeah.
and that was good for them.
Yep.
And if they travel 10 miles down the road, for them, that's a big deal.
Right.
You know, these guys are traveling 10 states over.
Dad's slinging burgers on the grill afterwards. It's a good day.
Yep, good day. And guess what? They probably go home and they play wiffle ball, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
After. You know, you talked earlier about the pitching and caring about how many pitches they throw and everything else. But I want to take a few minutes to give a shout out to the dads who pitch batting practice.
Oh, my gosh,
because
yes.
they probably throw 300 pitches in a day, and nobody cares about their arm.
And he's safe at first, so now the bases are loaded. Little infield single, found no man's land out there. Black couldn't get to it quickly, and a couple of walks, infield single, and now with 2 outs, the Rockies threatening to add to that 2-1 lead.
Well, that's the thing about 8-year-old baseball. Let's go over the field dimensions. The field dimensions are pitching from 40 feet. Those bases are only 60 feet down the line, so 8-year-olds have a lot of energy. They can get down that line very quickly.
The 60-foot bases, identical if you watch a lot of college sports, what you might see in the college softball game and give you a sense of how fast things can happen with that length of base pass. And, you know, you go all the way, you talk about the different levels of it, and certainly the purest form, and even all the way, as this one, eye level cut on, you go all the way to where you see in the Little League World Series, what you see in Williamsport. You know, you see the competitiveness of it, but then they're still talking about, hey, we want to get ice cream.
Yeah.
and that element of it, too. So you see it all up and down youth baseball. And, you know, the college kids, they still like their ice cream, too.
Oh, they do. They do.
As this one's outside, that'll bring in a run. And the Rockies add one more.
We're at a critical point in this game. There's 2 outs. Bases are loaded. Seams need to get his team back in the dugout to kind of keep this to a 3-1 ball game. At 8 years old, 2 runs is not really, you know, a big discrepancy here.
Happens in a hurry.
But I'm going to tell you, we've had some games at 8, 9 years old played 2-1, 3-1, 3-0 at 8U, and it astounds me every time I watch one of these games and how it transpires. Because leading to all of that is good pitching and good defense. And, you know, that's usually the teams that make it on Sunday.
Well, speaking of pitching, a pitching change coming here as well. And, you know, you talk through many of the pitching ranks, so to speak. And, you know, it's a message you hear all the way to the 8-year-olds, but all the way up to the college. Like, hey, let your defense play behind you. Get it over there. Your defense's job is to field the ball. And we've seen some of that here this weekend. How about some of the defensive plays we've seen? We've already seen the diving play by Davis at shortstop that saved a run an inning ago as they go to their second pitcher here of the inning, third of the game. But it's really impressive stuff when you think everything that they've absorbed to get to this point.
Well, the thing that you have to be careful with 8-year-olds, and I don't even limit to 8-year-olds, just young players in general, their mindset is if they don't strike out every batter, then they've failed.
Right.
They still don't understand the concept that if I get a ground ball and it's an out, whether I strike you out or whether you get put out at first base on a ground out. The same goes for the hitters. They feel if they don't get a hit every time up to bat, that they failed. And you sit there until you're blue in the face to try to explain to them that if you hit 3 out of 10 times in the major leagues, you're going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yep, you'll be in Cooperstown in a hurry.
Cooperstown in a hurry. But you can't relate that to these 8-year-olds. They don't understand that. They're like, nope, that's not the way it works. You know, I got to go 10 for 10 or I didn't do something right. Or even the ground ball to the right side with a runner at third that scores a run. the coaches are happy, the parents are happy, but the kid's not happy. He's like, what are you talking? What are you clapping for me? I got out.
Right. Yep. And it's so many times as pitchers, hey, you can give up 4 runs a game and be a pretty successful pitcher too.
Right. Right. It's like the movie, what is it, Major League, where
Yeah.
he tells, I'm not Major League, Bull Durham. Bull Durham, he tells the pitcher, strikeouts are boring.
As you get just the expertise, and you mentioned how Forrest hit that big home run earlier. Now we're going to get a chance to see him on the mound, and it's one of those things. The kids do a little bit of everything.
You can tell he's excited because this team's still in the dugout, and he's out there on the mound. He's ready to go. He is jacked up. He's got the call to come in and try to protect this 3-1 lead. He's ready to go.
Tossing the ball to himself, he said, "Hey, I need somebody to throw it out to."
Well, what you've seen in this game is pretty standard across the board at 8U. Coaches usually let their starter go 3 innings,
Yep.
and that's it. They take them out, and they don't really worry about what my rules are here. They worry about their own internal rules, and that's what they go by. So kudos to those guys, and most of your high-level teams have that type of stuff. So that's good to see, and you don't have to worry about it.
And speaks to the depth that you see from them as well, and how many different kids are capable,
Yep.
even at 8-year-old, of towing the rubber and working their way through a count, navigating their way through an inning pitching wise.
At 8 years old, every one of these team players at some point during the season, and these guys probably play anywhere between 25 and 40 games through a summer, every one of these 8-year-olds should toe the mound at least one time. And listen, some of them might not be as efficient as others, and some of them might not, be as consistent as others. But just because they're not that way at 8 doesn't mean they're not going to be that way at 9
right.
or 10. If you don't introduce them at 8, then basically now you're starting at 9 and they have that problem. If you don't introduce it at 9, then you start them at 10. So it gets progressively worse. So the earlier you can get them on that mound and get them some experience, the better off you're going to be.
Remember working a college tournament earlier this year, NCCA World Series. One of the pitchers, he was actually the ace of that particular school staff. He said, I couldn't pitch and could pitch. He said, I couldn't find the zone. He said, but I learned to pitch by playing catcher.
Common.
He said, I had a strong arm and I could throw. Yeah. He said, and so playing catcher, he said, throwing to second base was easier than throwing it back to the pitcher. So that's how he learned to sort of hone in his arm. And he said, once I got to 11, 12 years old, he said, that's when I really started being able to figure out the pitch. And just another example of how different things trigger at different points.
Light bulb goes off at different times. That's what I tell people. Sometimes it goes off when you're 8 or 9. Sometimes it doesn't go off till you're 16. And in my case, it don't go off till you're 55. So, it's all relevant.
So Owens draws the walk to start the 4th, and they'll bring the tying run aboard. And something that we have seen, maybe with the exception of yesterday with this Seams club, they can score runs, and they do it in a hurry.
They do it in a hurry, and I tell you that people walk up looking for pitches, but they're still disciplined enough to know that they want to hit their pitch. And right now he started off with four balls outside the zone.
On the ground to short. They go to second for 1. The turn in time. 6-4-3.
That's the second one. I told you I've seen him do it. 6-4-3 at 8 years old. That's an exciting play for those young men. It's exciting for me to watch it. You can tell I'm pumped up, man. That is great. I love seeing that type of defense.
Klaus, Lockhart to Story, and Story, who had just come in at first because Forrest was over there. He was on the mound, and, well, that's a quick way to erase the walk and a quick way to end the inning. A double play, pitcher's best friend, and it gets us through 4. 3-1 Rockies. They try to add as we get to the late stages here in the 5th inning. And case in point, Rick, about what you were saying about defense, it made it look pretty easy.
I mean, look, I got goosebumps. I mean, just thinking about that's the type of stuff that excites me. I mean, that is incredible. Kudos to those guys, the coaches. I mean, that's something that you have to work on and be prepared for that. And people don't realize how hard that is to turn on a 60-foot base pass. I mean, that is amazing by those young men.
Well, it's one of the reasons I think all the way to the collegiate level, you see a lot more double plays in baseball than you do softball for that reason,
Sure.
because everything is so
Absolutely.
compact as far as the base pass. And you see it there, and just the efficiency and textbook at second base by Lockhart and how he turned it and got it over to first in time. And it keeps the lead intact as we're through 4, 3-1, and now it says here, too, a big half inning for Seams, trying to keep it at that 2-run deficit. Still a lot of time with 2 innings to go, but trying to keep it right there after they thought they had something brewing just 1 inning ago.
Well, look how quickly the momentum changed.
Yep.
He comes out, he throws 4 balls outside the zone. Now we got a runner at first. Like you spoke, the tying run comes to the plate. And 2 pitches later, now you got double play, nobody out. The next kid lines out. So in a matter of less than a minute,
Yeah.
you went from a run around, nobody out, to double play, line drive to the second baseman, and you're out of the inning. Strikeouts are boring.
Yeah.
Let him hit it. Let him hit it. Let your defense play for you.
You know, refreshing, too, especially when you see this level of play. And, you know, something that's been talked about collegiate, especially in the professional ranks, is the time between pitches. They don't take any time at all.
No.
Sometimes it's almost how fast can I throw it again?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that because at the 8-year-old level, we have a time limit for 1 hour and 30 minutes for these guys.
Right.
And I bet you 75-80% of the games went the full 6 innings and didn't make it 1 hour and 30 minutes. A lot of these games are done in 1 hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes, and they play 6 innings.
First pitch missed out there is Lamarier, who came in and started at third base, came to finish last inning pitching-wise. Lucas Hall first to greet him. Watches that one dart in for a strike. And as you see, the discipline and the fan engagement has been a big part of this week, too. And parents on both sides, as that is just foul down the line. But the fan engagement and how important that is to events like this.
Well, it's crucial. I mean, because, you know, these 8-year-olds can't drive themselves here.
Right.
So they need the fans to come. And I tell you what, the fans, not only do the fans come, but aunts, uncles, sisters, siblings, they get drugged to the game as well. And they stay involved. You know, they know the rules. So if an umpire is not applying a rule right, the fans will tell you.
Yeah.
They'll tell you. And I don't know if you can hear it on the background here, but if it's a borderline pitch, it's always it's ironic. It's kind of like stereo, right? The left side claps and the right side goes, "That's a bad call."
Yeah, right.
And the next pitch, the left side says, "That's a bad call." And the right side claps. So
It's hard to be the diplomat in the middle.
yeah. Being an umpire is a thankless job.
This one's downstairs and the count 2-1, but you see so many magic moments between kids and umpires too, and an umpire that recognizes a kid that had a really good performance as this one dumps into right field, and things as simple as we've seen from time to time. An umpire sees a pitcher pitch really well and comes say, "Hey, you pitched really well. Here's one of the baseballs." That is such an integral part of what all of youth sports is about and the relationship that it's built therein. And with a leadoff runner aboard, or a one-out base runner, Rockies looking to do damage. This one's popped up and taking matters into his own hands as Laverdier, and he makes the catch for out number 2.
You know, that was a little bit different play, but there's an old unwritten rule that pop-ups, pitchers need to get out of the way, let somebody else do it. Listen, these pitchers all are athletes.
Yeah.
I mean, they've played high school ball, travel ball, college ball. They can catch a baseball. I mean, you know, that play there, that was the only person that could have caught it. But you see, I laugh all the time when these guys come together and the pitcher runs and gets out of the way. I'm like, it doesn't have the plague, or it's not got a disease. Catch the baseball.
Right. Well, Laverdier, who started the game at third base, is certainly able to do that from over there, as the pass ball will send the runner forward on the wild pitch. And so Brown now at second in a 3-1 game. And Beckett Nichols, those hitters toward the bottom of the order, and something you see in youth sports too. Not everyone on the roster gets in the lineup and to hit. And how many times have you seen this week? We've seen it a few times already today, where it's some of those kids that may not be in the field, but they make a big impact with the bat.
Yeah, that's one of the rules that are a little bit different. You know, we allow you to play what we call an extra hitter. So you've got 9 fielders in the field. You can bat 10 or you can bat your entire lineup. And coaches like to do that because it keeps everybody happy, right? They're in the game and you know, you're not really sitting on the bench. My son, I can tell you, when my son was 9, 10 years old, you ask him what his favorite position to play was, he goes, extra hitter. That was my favorite position. I didn't care if I played in the field. You know, he just wanted to hit.
This one down the line, that is a fair ball right over top of the base. And rounding third coming in to score. The Rockies will add one more. Play at third, not in time. It's an RBI double, and wanting to confer with the umpire, and we might have a review here. So they might take a look, and we'll see what the verdict is. So umpires will come to take a look, and that's something, Rick, I know you're a lot of hats over here, but that's something that's a part of it too, is you get a chance to look at those close plays.
Yeah, so we've got the ability to do instant replay here, something new and something added for the kids, you know, to kind of let them take a look at it if a play is being questioned. So they're going to take a look at it right now and kind of see what they can see if they get it. The umpires are coming back here now. They're going to take a look at the instant replay and see where everything's at.
So certainly,
we allow them 2 instant replays per game if they want to. If they get one right, then we'll go back and we'll give them another one. But 3 total is all they do. But they have to take a look at all this right now and to kind of determine. So what we do is we bring the umpires off the field. We put them with the umpire, the head chief here. They get together with the replay screen. That they take a look at it, and they'll make a decision based on what they see. I remind everybody, the coaches, the fans, everything else, while we're doing this for the kids, we're not ESPN.
Right.
We don't have 17. We don't have 17 camera angles.
Frame by frame
and stuff like that. But you know, Amy and her staff over top of the base. But as in anything, I try to explain, we don't have a perfect angle. We have an offset angle. So you know, that's one of the things, and that's why we put this into play. We want them to get it right and give them that opportunity. So. You know, kudos to the umpires getting together. They met with the UIC. They took a look at it, and they made their decision.
So now to the top of the order, and Klaus, who's already doubled today, but there was a case, again, one of those extra hitters that doubles down the line and plates a key insurance run to make it 4-1. And sometimes what a difference a few days makes. Seems won 7-1 last time these two teams played back on Wednesday. And now it's the Rockies on top 4-1. As this down the line, bobbled at third, races back to the bag. Did he get there in time? No. And so that'll allow another run. It's 5-1 at Carolina Rockies.
Often what you see at this age level is we have to remember they're 8 years old.
Yep.
And the mental aspect of the game affects an 8-year-old so much more than it does, say, a 14-year-old or a 20-year-old, because they've learned to deal with it. This 8-year-old, sometimes they're not used to being in games like this. Like I told you, the Astros, they were 40-0 coming into this tournament down here.
Right.
And they lost
A double coming from McIntosh. We saw him start the day on the hill. Now he adds to the tally with a double in left field. But you see the different dimensions from all these players, and another really good effort by Patrick out there in left.
Yeah, here's a case in point. You know, if Seams is up 5-1, Patrick probably makes that catch. Seams is down 5-1. It just seems like it explodes. When it goes bad, it goes worse, right?
This down the line, it is a foul ball. And but these type of events, they these teams so talented, maybe a lot of what they play, you mentioned a lot of them might play up to 9 to try to get some of that competition, but for some of them, it's the first time experiencing this type of ebbs and flows that you're going to get in this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
As this one's hit well out to center, drifting back. That ball is gone. Forrest does it again, his second one of the weekend, and the whole dugout's going to come and celebrate this one.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to tell you that the only way to pitch this young man is to pitch him inside. You let him get those arms extended, and he has some power up the middle into the opposite field. An incredible stroke. Stays back on the ball nicely, puts his hands right to the baseball, and drives it to center field. What an amazing at-bat by Forrest.
Not much doubt about that one. As Forrest, another home run here this week. Think he'll remember this week for a while?
Yeah, he's going to remember this for a while. I got a feeling, though, this has not been his first 2 of the year, though.
No.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that.
He's probably had a couple, and so now they visit out to the mound.
But there's the old word that everyone uses in baseball, no matter what age you are, and that's momentum.
Yep.
You know, the Rockies have the momentum. I think the game turned. It was a close game. The double play that they turned and turned that quick inning over has kind of changed the whole dynamics of this game. It inflated the Rockies to just it energized them. And Seams kind of had a little bit of a letdown when that double play was turned. It's kind of like, all right, we're building something here. Wait a minute, now there's 2 outs. So the game kind of changed on that one play as we've seen so far. But listen, I got to remind everyone, this is 8-year-old baseball.
Yeah.
Anything can happen.
It's still 8-year-old baseball, which the broadcast term of that is we still got a long way to go.
We still got a long way to go.
As Slayton now will come on to pitch. And certainly not what Labrador was hoping for when he came on. But you see just the support and the celebrations. We see them. We've talked about the college level a few times already today, but this is where the team sellies really start.
Yeah, for sure. You know, they get to experience, they get to know each other pretty well. They spend a whole week together, right? And they get to know each other pretty well in that amount of time. According to some of the parents, sometimes more than they want to. Sometimes more than they want to.
Well, the good news for the parents with as many activities and here in Myrtle Beach with all the things that has to offer.
So many things to do.
And by the time the day's done, good news for mom and dad, chances are the kids will sleep well at the end of it.
Yeah.
The first pitch in for a strike from Slayton, who began the day behind the plate. Now works his way to the top of the hill to pitch here. And you mentioned the momentum turn. It was a 3-1 game, 5 runs in this inning for the Rockies alone. And it has totally changed the feel of this game so far.
Yeah, the feel of the game definitely changed. And as a coach, your job is to try to figure out how to change it back, right? And with 8-year-olds, that's a difficult challenge. That's a tough challenge because now these 8-year-olds have the mindset that they're going to come up here when they hit, and they're going to hit a 7-run home run to tie the game.
It's a little flare. Could be a tough play. That gets down in front of Patrick, and it's another base hit. We go back now, back to that initial double that drove in runs. It's 5 straight hits now for the Carolina Rockies.
And that's the way it goes, right? When things are going your way, that ball there found that open spot in the outfield. When things are not going your way, the left fielder makes a diving catch for it, or the shortstop runs back and makes the play. Baseball is a cruel, cruel game in some aspects.
And now perhaps it's this side of the ball for the Seams where if you get a really nice defensive play, gets you out of it, maybe that starts the momentum As this hit out in the air, drifting back, and that finds no man's land. Sort of that Bermuda Triangle between short, left, and center. And it's a 6th consecutive hit for the Carolina Rockies.
Another classic example of when things are going your way, they're going your way. And right now, the Seams coach is like, please, I just need to figure out how to stop this so we can get in here and try to hit.
This one hit well. That'll get into the left for a base hit. They'll round third. They'll try to score a run there. There will be no play. And another comes across as Story comes around to score.
Right now, the Rockies are coming to the plate, and that baseball looks about the size of a beach ball right now. They are putting the bat on everything that's thrown up there and having tremendous success with it. These are days that you just want to bottle up and carry them with you for the rest of your life.
And ones that, if things continue to go the way they are, if you're the Carolina Rockies, you want to bottle up for a few hours from now.
Yeah, because you have the Astros over there waiting for you.
As this one hit in the air, this will end the inning. A nice catch made by Black, and we'll see if Seams can get the offense going. It's been hot all week. They need it now after the Rockies have blown it open here in Myrtle Beach. So Forrest back to work now with a 9-run lead. And Seams will have to score at least 2 to keep it going. As they have hit that 8 runs after 4. Forrest trying to finish it off as the Astros await, and they have been mighty good all tournament long. As Forrest steals. Inside corner, but it just missed, and you already see the grit and determination. Kyle Rushy with Rick Goff, their tournament director, and you see the tongue sticking out a little bit as he's in the windup, and the focus and determination of trying to finish this one off for the Rockies.
Yeah, he's got some swagger about him definitely on the mound because he knows right now that that Seams has to score a couple of runs to keep this game going. We have the run rule that's in effect, which is 8 after 5 innings, and the score being 10-1. So Seams, if they want to extend this game, they've got to score a couple of runs, or this game's going to be over right here.
So Laverdiere, who gave up that home run against Forrest, they do battle yet again. And Rick, something I personally like, I love when pitchers hit too. And you get these type of matchups. It's like, all right, you hit a home run off of me, but now I get my turn.
Yeah.
To make a say with the bat. A little cue shot. This is a tough play, and he beats it out down the line. So good hustle there from Laverdiere, and it creates a one-out base runner. There's a little cue shot they got by Forrest.
We're going to get a challenge here on the out at first.
And so the umpires are going to come back and take another look. It initially looked like he beat it. But with the beauty of replay and camera right there, perched right along that first base side, hopefully got a good look at it for him. But we talked about the coaching. You see some of that here. The coach on an E trying to encourage his guys, while the scoreboard certainly may not be going their way, but
Well,
it's one that you just try to stay positive and build on what could come from there.
you know, and I think that's important. Little things to me as a coach are important. The fact that he got down on his knee and he's able to get to their eye level,
Right.
you know, talk to them directly. A lot of people probably don't realize that, but that's little things that make a big difference,
Yes.
right? Because these kids now are able to look you in the eye instead of looking up at you. Little things go a long way. Well, don't look like the replay took too long. It looked like
No.
they got what they needed rather quickly here. Again, we didn't hear what they were talking about, so we're going to get the verdict just like everyone else at home here is.
We could use some replays at the higher levels of baseball that go that fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we will get that verdict. And he is safe.
So we've had two challenges, and the umpires have been right on both calls. So
It could change before
It
the
can cha- I
it
probably
could
just
change
jinxed
before
myself,
the
didn't
day's
I?
over, but I'm 2 for 2 so far.
right. I probably just jinxed the umpires. That's something I probably shouldn't have said, right?
Any other umpires watching are saying, "Gee, Rick, thanks."
Right. They're like, now it's going to happen. We're going to blame you. They're going to send all nasty.
Catchers rifle it over to second, and how many of those plays are close that you think, man, he's going to beat that by a lot, and then you see the throw, you're like, well, maybe not. This one hit on the ground towards short, dives, but gets by. And so there's life yet for the Seams as Reynolds reaches. They need 2 here to keep it going. And Reynolds ensures it'll last at least in a bat further and puts runners in the corners.
Yeah, there was no reason to send the runner home there. You need 2 runs. 1 run don't do any good. No sense taking the risk. You got 2 outs. Trust and believe in your team to kind of do it the old-fashioned way. You know, put a string, couple hits together, and push a couple runs across.
So Workman, who is also on the mound in that 7-run inning that really turned this game around for the Rockies, he was part of that. He walked a couple hitters, and now a chance to try to make amends with the bat and fouls it straight back. I always get a kick out of just watching some of their demeanor. Of course, they all have their favorite big leaguer that they watch at home, and the demeanors carry over all the way down to this level. This one's bounced in, and that'll allow the runner to move up to second. So now,
interesting, right?
Plot thickens here, a base hit, and all of a sudden you're within that margin for error. And as we alluded to a half inning ago, you have to remind yourself it's still 8-year-old baseball, and a lot can still happen.
Now, if you're the Seams coach, you might consider sending that runner on a base hit to try to extend this game. The risk is there, the reward is there. So don't be surprised if we see a base hit to the outfield that the coach sends both the runner at third, which he's going to score, but the runner at second as well to try to extend this game.
Remember, a half inning ago, as this one's bounced in, 2 of the first 3 hitters were retired for the Rockies.
Yeah.
And then it led to 7 straight reaching that propelled that inning. This through the right side. It'll score 1. They will throw it first, and that is in time, and that is all. And almost assuredly look like we might get a review here. As the coach is trying to say that he was there in time. Rockies think it's over. But what a heads-up play. They are going to go to review and look. Your typical 9-3 put-out. And that's what's being reviewed here. Did J.J. Workman beat it? That's the discussion that the umpires will have as they come over to the monitor.
It's the only thing that's reviewable here is whether he's safe or out. I mean, anything about the fielder and making the play is not reviewable. So we have to see what they're going to review here.
So they're conferring about what the review here is. So they'll try to see safe or out and what that looks like. So the coaches look on. Rockies think that they might have the finish line in sight here. So the umpire's conferring, and while we wait at home, what a joy it has been. Just you see the youngsters getting after it and all sorts of talent over the field. And as soon as we get the verdict, obviously we'll pass it along to you. So they had to look over at the monitor, and I believe it'll stay as is. And a pretty impressive play from right field and Story to throw out his man.
Yeah, we weren't even considering the play at first base. Again, that's what happens at youth baseball, and you know, you look at it, you think it's a base hit to the right side when actually it's been picked up and it's a 9-3 put out. That happens a lot at the younger levels. I was paying attention to the runner if he was going to send him from second base.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were sitting there fixing their eyes on third, and then when they saw the cheering and out signal, and then they realized it was the 9-3 put out, and we'll get the official wording here. But from what we've seen, should be the decider. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he is out at first. Ball game is over, and the Rockies advance to take on the Astros. Rick, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure and a lot of fun baseball ahead.
Been a pleasure. We'll do it again later this afternoon.
So the Rockies advance. They'll take on the Astros for the Seams. The run comes to an end here in Myrtle Beach. For our entire crew, maybe our producer Kyle Rush saying so long for now. The 9-year-olds on deck here in Myrtle Beach.